Hot or Not, the show where we decide which game, upcoming, present, or past, is either fantastic or hot tier garbage. Get ready, because this one's gonna be sweaty. Welcome everyone, my name is RustyPieLover, ginger streamer, professional high-pitched screamer, and Hot or Not decider extraordinaire. And welcome to today's episode of Hot or Not, where we are going to decide on Tekken 8. Now, if you haven't seen the trailer before we get into the video, trailer is looking absolutely fantastic. It looks like everyone got a bit more swole, a bit more sweaty, and a bit more muscular. If you haven't checked out the trailer, link down below. Please go check it out, and let's just get into it because I'm quite excited. It's been a couple of years since we've seen a new Tekken game, and since we're starting to approach the end of the Mishima arc, or so it seems, we're going to decide whether Tekken 8 looks to be hot or not. What are you expecting from the game? What are you hoping to see in the game? And what are you hoping for change? Are you hoping for new characters, a bigger roster, other things? Let's see. Storyline ending falls flat. Now, with most fighting games, it hasn't always been about the story. You're mostly just taking a controller and bashing buttons or whatever the case may be if you're new, and if you're professional, you're learning how to waifu, move, dodge, parry, those kind of things. But Tekken does have a pretty unique and cool story to it. However, there's always the case that the storyline falls flat on its face, kind of gives us a bit of a meh ending, and that could have an impact on the game itself. What do you think? No character improvements. With Tekken 7, especially with the DLC characters, a lot of characters felt either overpowered or underpowered, and this had quite a bit of impact on the roster itself, how the meta changed, especially for the professional scene. And if we do get new characters and they feel like they are pretty flat, they don't feel like they're unique, they feel like they're pretty boring to play, that might also have a very negative impact on the game itself. With a couple of the older characters, there are some people that require a little bit of a buff, a little bit of a nerf, and possibly an overhaul in their fighting style, as we've had in the past with Jin swapping from the Mishima style to karate, with Yoshimitsu having his whole kit reworked. So that might also play a negative factor into Tekken 8. Severely unbalanced characters. As I said in the previous point, which we're making this point, a lot of the DLC characters from Tekken 7 came out overpowered, and it kind of dictated the meta quite a bit. A lot of pros felt a lot of the move sets and a lot of the damage buffs that were given to these characters was quite overpowered. If you look at Geese Howard, he was quite overpowered when he came out, and he had to suffer quite a few nerfs as the game went on. So if we do have a Tekken 8 roster with some DLC characters that come out without being correctly balanced, you will find a lot of people in the professional scene, and maybe even in the casual scene, might find the game a little bit more difficult and a little bit more unfun than prior Tekken installments. Lacking boss fight / content. As with every fighting game, sometimes the boss fight is going to be a hit or miss. Tekken has had the unfortunate incident where some of the boss fights just feel unbelievably unfair or just ridiculously stupid. You take a Zazel or Jinpachi from the previous series, and a lot of people had very, very, very negative things to say about those boss fights. So, will Tekken bring in a better boss fight this time? I don't think Tekken 7 had a terrible boss fight by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel like this is where they've been lacking a little bit in terms of boss fights. As for content, I don't think that is a problem on the Tekken side, but we could have something where the roster might be a little bit minuscule on launch, where there's a ton of DLCs that you have to pay for, so it's going to feel more like a cash grab rather than a fun fighting game. Performance issues. As per every game that comes out nowadays, this is a standard negative that we need to decide on. But because the Unreal 5 engine is now being used for Tekken 8, if you haven't checked out the trailer, go check it out, we might run into some performance issues. There's been calls for consoles being overheating. I don't know if there's going to be a PC port. There should be a PC port, but there might be performance issues on the PC port. There might be bugs, game-breaking things, as per usual, so that is always going to be part of the negatives. But now that we're moving into the Unreal 5 engine, specifically for Tekken, What do you think might happen in terms of performance issues? Let's get on to the positives of this game. Major graphics overhaul. So, as I said previously, Tekken is going through quite a graphics overhaul change, moving from whatever engine they're using now to the Unreal 5 engine. And again, I must point out to the trailer, if you haven't looked at it, it looks absolutely beautiful. Eye candy-licious. And I do mean that, like, every muscle has got a rip. You can see the muscle rips. So, if you don't think that the graphics overhaul is something to look at, I would highly recommend, if you are one for eye candy, go check it out. Character changes and looks. Coming back to this, if you had checked out the trailer, you will notice that Martial Law had a massive gains session, apparently. And he looked really good. Paul Phoenix also had quite a bit of a change, and he looks good. Every character so far in the trailer looks like they got a little bit of a touch-up, a little bit of an artistic glow-up, and they are looking great. So from my standpoint of view, that is something, as a longtime Tekken fan. If you aren't a Tekken fan and you want to get into it, I would say go to Tekken 7. It's the latest entry. There's quite a few characters you can play. It's quite a big roster. But from prior experiences, seeing what the Tekken team are busy doing, kudos to the artists for this. Potential crossovers and DLCs. Now, Tekken 7 introduced the King of Fighters and Street Fighters universe into the Tekken universe. Akuma and Geese Howard from both series respectively. Does this mean that we are going to get even more crossovers? I'm not even talking about Negan or Noctis from other series as well. I'm talking about purely into the fighting scene of Tekken. Are we going to see more King of Fighters fighters in the game? Are we going to see more Street Fighters? It makes you think that potentially we could have a massive crossover of one fighting game from all universes. We never know, but that's something to look forward to. Who would you like to see in the next Tekken outside of the Tekken fighting roster? Let me know. Final arc and ending. I don't think Tekken 8 will be the final Tekken. I do think, however, maybe they are going to stop the Mishima arc now and see where it's going to go. But we never know. Are we going to get a definitive ending? We saw the end of Heihachi in Tekken 7. Spoiler alert, but we saw the end of Heihachi because we are finally getting his revenge against his father. Now we see the return of Jun Kazama. Yes, Jun Kazama. I'm correct. Just needed to make sure about my facts. What are we going to see happen in the story? Are you excited for the final end of Tekken potential? Improved combat mechanics and systems. So it seems like Rage Art is coming back to the game. It seems like they are experimenting with a couple of things again, and are we going to see improved combat mechanics and systems? Tekken has always been a fighting game that I honestly feel they make small changes but have massive implications to the game. I don't know how much further you can improve it, but I mean, we've had parries, we've had Rage Art, we've had the Rage Drive, so I'm looking forward to see what they've got going. Whether it's going to work or not is up to us to decide, but that is going to spell quite a bit of change for the Tekken scene as a whole. And that's going to wrap up this session of Hot or Not. I'm not going to decide this episode whether this is going to be hot or not. I'm just going to say I'm excited for Tekken 8. I have never had an issue with the Tekken series, but let me know what you think. Do you think Tekken 8 is going to be hot or not? You let me know down below in the comments. Let me know what you think the negatives are, what you're not looking forward to seeing in the game. Let me know what you are looking forward to seeing in the game, and I think it's going to be really good. Until then, take care of yourselves. Look out for the next one. Bye-bye.